The Auditor General's report on the finances of the National Sports Council is revealing. Questionable cash transactions, discrepancies between National Sports Council and Go Enterprises Limited, embezzlement in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and suspected fraud are all being revealed by the audit. The audit covered a period of 1 year, April 1st, 2015 to March 31st, 2016. There are many transgressions, and we'll name a few. One of the most serious allegations is the embezzlement of almost $500,000. The Auditor General says that during the year in review, $416,228.25 appear to have been embezzled from the National Sports Council. According to the Auditor General, Dorothy Bradley, Senior Accounts Clerk Ivan Ayuso had, quote, manipulated the pay sheets and may have siphoned the money into his personal accounts at 3 commercial banks, unquote. The audit also names Consul General for Belize in New York, Herman Langsworth, who was the then Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports, and a representative for Albert. He was the principal of Go Enterprises Limited and was reportedly contracted to do some work at the Marion Jones Sporting Complex. The company, according to the audit, received a mobilization fee of $75,000. $40,000 of that amount was withdrawn from the company's account and deposited into the UDP Albert Division Committee account. The report also says that $5,000 was deposited into Langsworth's personal bank account. The audit was not able to review any contractual agreement between the council and Go Enterprise, and that's because none was presented upon request. According to the former acting director for the council, Patrick Henry, no contract was prepared. This is a violation of public procurement protocols. Henry, whose name appears several times for numerous questionable transactions, told the audit team that Langsworth had called him saying that a contractor with an invoice for payment would be sent over. Henry made the payment. According to the project manager for the sporting complex, Virgil Palacio, he saw Langsworth bring persons to work on the fence. When questioned about it, Langsworth said that he was not responsible for hiring any entity and he did not send any workers. The company's director told the audit team that they were unaware that the company had gotten any contract from the National Sports Council. The directors also said that they never received monies nor set up a bank account for the company. They also shared that Langsworth was part of setting up Go Enterprises Limited. One of the directors told the audit team that Langsworth owned Go Enterprises, and he had her sign documents allowing only him to write and issue checks. Then there's the case of Emer Hernandez, a favored contractor for the UDP administration who the PM says is smelling like a rose. $200,000 was dispersed to the National Sports Council for landfill works. The report stated that no contract was drawn up for that, and Hernandez was the contractor. In this case, the tender process was ignored, and Hernandez was paid in 4 disbursements of $50,000. The payment was approved by Patrick Henry. Henry told the audit team that Langsworth asked him to pay Hernandez, but according to the report, it was Henry who wrote to the ministry asking for $200,000 for landfill purposes. The request was approved, and the monies were deposited into the council's bank account in 2015. At that time, the council was in an unauthorized overdraft to the tune of $14,000. The bank immediately withdrew that amount. The audit team believes that the monies were not used for its intended purpose. Patrick Henry's name appears more times than one could count. He was the former acting sports director, and according to the audit, he was collecting double salary. Henry was receiving a monthly salary of $2,500 and a monthly allowance of $1,500. He was questioned for several suspicious cash transactions. For the period in question, the council had an approved budget of $1.9 million. In 2016, the then director of sports, Richard Dominguez, through a questionnaire revealed that the council's operating budget was $1.5 million. Henry was provided the same questionnaire, where questions on the budget were not answered. He reportedly gave erroneous budget amounts to board members. In November 2015, Henry wrote to the ministry asking for $25,000 for a teacher training in softball project. Henry says he was not aware that the monies were deposited, and so the project did not materialize. He said that because of the general elections, all programs were put on hold. The elections were held in November 2015, and therefore the project could not be affected as the funds had been requested on the 18th of November 2015 after the elections. In fact, the $25,000 were expended, leaving the council with an overdraft of about $10,000. The monies were spent on goods and services not for the purposes initially requested. Henry also made a request for $30,000 from the National Primary School Basketball Championship Games. He further requested $47,000. The ministry wrote to Henry asking for details as to how the $30,000 was used. The letter went unanswered. Henry told the audit team that he does not know if the games were held because all activities were put on hold due to general elections. It was later revealed that the bank took the money for an unauthorized overdraft of $33,000. Then there are checks made to Edwin Castro, Sean Lino, and Tiffany Huesner, all employees for the council. Castro received a check of $14,000 while Lino received one for $22,000 and Huesner for $10,000. The checks were cashed, but according to the individuals, the monies were returned to Henry, who approved the check. Henry was also in charge of $500,000, which was dispersed to the council for the end-of-year school sports program, also known as the Petro-Caribe Summer Camp. The council possessed a complete file on the program. That file was given to Henry by an administrative officer, who said that Henry did not return it. Henry said he left it in the office. Of the $500,000, 96 participants received grant funding. 26 received a grant higher than the maximum $5,000. $5,000 of the Petro-Caribe program was given to Tiffany Huesner via check. She says she cannot remember receiving the check. A second $5,000 check was written to Huesner. She did, however, recall cashing a $10,000 check under the Petro-Caribe program, and the monies were handed to Henry. The audit revealed that the district sports committee did not receive their full monthly subventions. In fact, the committees only received 58%, or $78,949 of the budgeted $134,000. No documents were provided showing how the shortfall of more than $50,000 was used. Reporting for News 5, Hipolito, Novelo.